The nightmare always began with the rain, a torrential downpour that blurred the city lights into a smear of neon grief. I would be back in the cage, the cold iron biting into my skin, the reek of stale beer and unwashed bodies thick in the air. A hand would reach for me, rough and calloused, and I would flinch, my throat closing up before a scream could form. Tonight, the scream came, a raw, ragged sound that tore me from the depths of sleep. My eyes flew open, not to the filth of the hollow, but to the soft, indirect lighting of a sprawling penthouse apartment. The rain was real, a furious drumming against the floor-to-ceiling windows that framed the glittering skyline of Crestwood Bay. I was tangled in silk sheets that smelled of sandalwood and clean linen, wearing a man's dress shirt that felt impossibly soft against my scarred skin. Nell, the voice was low, calm, a steady anchor in the storm raging both outside and within me. Sebastian Devereux was beside me in an instant, his large frame casting a protective shadow over me. He didn't touch me, not at first. He knew better. He simply sat on the edge of the bed, his presence a silent promise of safety. It was just a dream, he said, his gaze fixed on my face, searching. I nodded, my breath still coming in shuddering gasps. My hand instinctively went to my shoulder, tracing the faint, raised line of a scar I knew was there. His eyes followed the movement, a flicker of something dark and ancient passing through them. He reached out then, slowly, giving me every chance to pull away. His fingers, warm and steady, gently covered my hand. They can't hurt you anymore, Nell, he murmured, his voice a vow. I promise. I looked at this man, this powerful, enigmatic savior who had pulled me from the wreckage of my life. I looked at the city lights, the opulent room, the silk sheets. It had been 3 months since he found me, 3 months of slow, painful recovery, but he was wrong. They could still hurt me, because the reign of the Ashfords wasn't over, not until I had burned it to ashes myself. It had all started on my 18th birthday, a year ago. The Ashford estate was ablaze with light, a beacon of old money and influence on the cliffs overlooking Crestwood Bay. Hundreds of guests mingled on the manicured lawns, their laughter like the tinkling of expensive crystal. I stood on the grand staircase, dressed in a custom-made gala gown the color of a twilight sky, my fiancé, Brandon Adler, at my side. He was handsome, the heir to the Adler Hotel empire, and the man I had loved since I was a girl. You look perfect, Penelope, he whispered, his hand possessively on the small of my back. I smiled, but the smile didn't quite reach my eyes. The air was stretched taut, vibrating with a tension I couldn't name. My father, Warren Ashford, tapped a champagne flute for attention. Friends, family, he boomed, his voice full of pride. Tonight, we celebrate my daughter, Penelope, the future of the Ashford name. Then, my sister, Melody, stepped forward. She was the angel of the family, beautiful and beloved, with a smile that could charm angels and devils alike. Tonight, that smile was gone. Her face was streaked with tears, her own gown inexplicably torn at the shoulder. She fell to her knees in the center of the grand hall, her sobs echoing in the sudden, shocked silence. Penelope, please, just stop, she cried, her voice a fragile, broken thing. I'm begging you, don't let those men from the hollow keep harassing me. The room erupted in gasps. I never meant to get in your way, she continued, her voice rising with practiced despair. I would never, ever try to take Brandon from you. Just tell them to leave me alone. My blood ran cold. The hollow, I didn't even know what that was. My father's face turned a shade of mottled purple. He stormed towards me, his eyes blazing with a fury I had never seen before. You did this, he roared, his voice shaking the chandeliers. You hired gutter trash to threaten your own sister. No, Dad, it's not true, I cried, turning to Brandon for support. Brandon, you know me. But Brandon's face was a mask of cold disgust. He took a step away from me, as if I were contaminated. I only see what's in front of me. Penelope, he said, his voice like ice. And I see you've made your sister cry. My father didn't wait for another word. He swung his leg back and kicked me, hard, in the stomach. The world tilted as I tumbled down the last few steps, landing in a heap on the marble floor. Before I could even register the pain, he was on me, grabbing a handful of my hair. He dragged me towards the enormous, multi-tiered birthday cake. You've disgraced us all, he spat, his face inches from mine, and then he shoved my head into the cake. The world exploded in a soft, suffocating cloud of buttercream and humiliation, laughter, cruel and sharp, mixed with the shocked murmurs of the guests. I was a joke, a monster, a spectacle, and that was only the beginning of the end. My mother, Catherine Ashford, stood by, her face a mask of elegant disappointment. She didn't intervene when my father dragged me from the cake, my hair matted with frosting, my designer gown ruined. She just watched as he slapped me, twice, hard across the face. The sting of it was nothing compared to the sting of her words. We have no daughter of this name, she declared to the silent, watching crowd. The Ashfords do not raise vipers. Viper, the word, clung to me as 2 burly security guards, men who had known me since I was a child, grabbed my arms. Brandon, please, I sobbed, my last, desperate plea aimed at the man I thought I would spend my life with. You have to believe me. He turned his back on me. We're finished, he announced, his voice carrying across the hall with chilling finality. I will not be associated with such a venomous woman. Melody, nestled in my mother's arms, shot me a look over her shoulder. It was a look of pure, unadulterated triumph, and in that moment, I understood. This was all her. Every tear, every accusation, every perfectly timed sob. It was a masterpiece of deceit. My screams were useless as the guards dragged me out of the ballroom, through the service corridors, and into the cold night. They threw me into the back of a windowless van, a dirty, rattling cage on wheels. The journey was a blur of bumps and terror. When the doors finally opened, I was shoved out onto a muddy, garbage-strewn patch of land. The air was thick with the stench of decay and misery. This was the Hollow, a shantytown of dilapidated shacks and rusty trailers, huddled on the forgotten edge of Crestwood Bay. A few pairs of eyes, hard and predatory, watched me from the shadows. My beautiful gown was torn and stained, useless against the biting wind. I was alone, discarded, and utterly terrified. That night, they locked me in an iron cage, no bigger than a dog kennel. The cold iron floor was my bed. The mocking laughter of my captors my lullaby. That was the first of 365 nights in hell. I learned to fight for scraps of food with the stray dogs. I learned to endure the beatings, the humiliation, the endless violation. I became a tool for their release, a thing to be used used and broken. My name, Penelope Callahan, ceased to exist. I was just the pretty one from uptown, the plaything of the hollow. A year passed in a haze of pain and degradation. Hope was a luxury I could no longer afford. Then, one day, Brandon Adler found me. I was being held down by two grimy men in the dirt behind a trailer when he appeared. Brandon's face was a storm of fury and disgust as he tore the men off me. Penelope, what the hell is this? He sneered, his voice dripping with contempt. Is this how you've been volunteering your time? Have you no shame? His face, so handsome and once so beloved, blurred with the faces of my tormentors. For a moment, I couldn't tell the difference. Was he here to hurt me too? I scrambled towards him on my knees, a conditioned response of submission etched into my very bones. He recoiled, throwing a tattered coat at me. Cover yourself, he commanded. You're coming back with me. Stepping out of the shack's shadow, the sunlight was blinding, and standing there, bathed in its glow, was Melody. Seeing her, a chill colder than any winter night in the hollow washed over me. The memory of her triumphant smirk at my party was as vivid as if it were yesterday. She rushed forward, linking her arm through mine, her perfectly manicured nails digging into my flesh like tiny daggers. Oh, sister, we've all missed you so much, she said, her voice syrupy sweet. Dad and Mom are so excited to have you home. Just be a good girl this time, won't you? Don't make them angry again. Her words were honey, but her eyes were pure poison. She wrinkled her nose in a delicate show of disgust. What is that smell? It's dreadful. Mom and Dad have prepared a welcome home party for you. You can't show up like this. You'll be a disgrace to the family. She gestured to Brandon. Brian, take her to the back of the guest house. She needs to be cleaned up. He dragged me towards a spigot and a hosepipe. The icy water hit my body like 1,000 needles. I couldn't stop shaking. Please, no more, I cried, the words torn from a place of primal fear. He didn't stop. The familiar terror of being held down, of being powerless, consumed me. My mind went blank. I fell to my knees and started banging my head on the wet concrete. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I chanted, the words meaningless, just a sound to ward off the pain. I crawled to Brandon's feet, grabbing the cuff of his expensive trousers. I'm sorry, whatever you want, just please don't hit me. Melody watched, a cruel smile playing on her lips. She yanked me up by my hair. You're still such a slut, she hissed, her voice low and venomous. Trying to seduce Brandon in broad daylight, she slapped me hard across the face. A year of punishment was supposed to teach you a lesson, but